God of creation, there at the start before.
Is a name I love to hear. I love to sing its word. It sounds like music in my ear, the sweetest name on earth. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because He first loved me. He tells me of a Savior's love, who died and set me free. He tells me of His precious blood, the sinner's perfectly. Oh, oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because He first loved me. He tells of one whose loving hand can fill my deepest wound, who in its sorrow bears a part that none can bear alone. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because He first loved me. Oh, oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because He first loved me. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because He first loved me. One more time. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because He first loved me. Oh, oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because He first loved me. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus. Oh, how I love Jesus, because He first loved me. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how He loves. He loves us. Oh, how He loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. He is jealous of me. Love's like a hurricane. I am a tree bending beneath the weight of his wings and mercy. When all of a sudden I'm unaware of his afflictions eclipsed by glory, and I realize just how beautiful you were and how great your affections are for me. And oh, how he loves us all. Oh, how he loves us. How he loves us so. He loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. He loves us. Oh, how 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 he loves us. He loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. Yes, he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves. He loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves us. Oh, how he loves.
Praise the Lord, DYF. We thank God who has kept you safe and supplied all your needs even during this period of COVID. Many people are struggling and going without food, but you are here to listen to us. And we bless the Lord that He has provided for you. Today, unlike other Thursdays, we're having a panel discussion on the topic of life in abundance. We have a panel discussion today, and the panelists are Yona Namara, who is a student at Makerere University Business School. We have Raymond Muhwezi, who is also our worship team leader and a fresh graduate from Makerere University. We shall start it off by understanding how our panelists have had their lives running through this period of the lockdown. Shall begin with Raymond Muhwezi. How are you finding this period of the lockdown?
The lockdown has come with a newness in my life. There is a lot of stuff that is coming into my life, is a lot of stuff that I'm realizing was in my life, but I didn't have a clue was in my life. So I'm trying to learn a lot of things at the same time, and only because I have all this much time that I think I've never had since birth. So it has come with a newness, even though there is a lot of death that is happening elsewhere in the world and around me. In me, I feel a newness that is rising up, and I can feel the whole earth literally becoming new. Do not ask me how I feel it, but I know that the when this is all done, we shall look back at this period of time and be grateful to God that we've had the chance to go through this phase of our lives. So if you ask me how my life is, I'm very expectant because there is a new season that's coming after here, and I'm only grateful that I've got to go through this season in this time. I'm very happy. If you say.
And Yona Namara, how is life off campus? Or a campuser?
It used to be hard. It was hard at the beginning, obviously. Very hard. You're missing friends. You're missing some family members you can't get to. But I realized that this time is really nice. Like this is the time when I've learned a lot about myself, and I'm unlearning some things that I used to know. It's a time when you get to look at things like your mental health, things, checking in your families, what's wrong, what's right. Spending so much time with your family, increasing on the love, like generally doing them challenges. I think it's really fun. It has been fun so far so good. Yeah, it's not as bad as some people would think it is. Yeah.
We bless the Lord for that. So we shall just put our panel discussion in perspective. Our panel discussion is focusing on the book of John, chapter 10, verse 10. And it reads, "The thief comes to kill, steal, and to destroy. But I have come that you may have life and have it abundantly." Many people have understood life in their own ways. We want to understand how, in our modern day and time, what does an average campuser think life is to them?
I won't say there's one meaning of life according to a compasser, but then the literal meaning of life is breath in human beings, in living things, breath. And yeah, as per compasser, I would think life is a series of moments, a series of good and bad moments to a compasser. Yeah. Personally, I think life is a gift from God. We're all given the gift of life. Your parents living, that's a gift. Your friends living, that's a gift. And yeah, I think that's it. Compassers just, they collect small moments and they call it your life, like your biography.
Yeah.
Yes.
Thank you. Raymond,
Yeah.
the scripture speaks of stealing, that the thief comes to steal. What are the stealers of life in your perspective? What are these things that steal life from us, steal lives from a normal person?
I think as many people do believe that the enemy first goes through our mind, and when he reaches our mind, he's able to reach the core of us and influence us to think a certain way. So if you ask me, the stealers of life are the certain things that we think about, really, that come into our minds, that take away a portion of the things that God has placed in our lives that we ought to be grateful for. for example, you could be there and you've just finished campus, case in point me, and there is so much stuff around you that you should be grateful about. Yeah, your family, your friends, even the fact that you finished campus, because there are very many people that didn't have the chance to complete. But right in that moment when you've just finished campus, you will start to think about a job. You will start to think about, there are very many people telling me I'm getting of age. They're asking me what next in life.
Yeah.
You will start to think about, yeah, I've had very many investment clubs running. What am I doing with my life? And it's not very bad to think about those things, but the thing is that the enemy will use those same things that you're thinking about in your mind and twist them so that they become more of stealers of your life. When Jesus says, I've come to give you life and give you life in abundance, there are very many things that are happening in our lives. If you look at the parable maybe of the centurion, there's a lot of stuff that he had in his mind. But when it reaches a point where you have to decide what is meaningful in your life and what is not, I believe God is the only answer to what is meaningful in our lives. So the stealers of life are the things that are around us that the enemy twists and changes, and they become burdens to us. It's supposed to be a good thing that I think about my future, but the perspective in which I think about my future will determine whether it is a stealer of my life or it's actually life becoming abundant to me. Even right now, I'm supposed to think about, how am I going to build a house? How am I going to live after campus? But the perspective in which I view that will determine whether that thought will be a stealer in my life or whether that thought will be life in abundance to me. So everything that is around us is okay, but where we see it from determines whether it will be a stealer in our life or a builder of our lives. So the stealers in our lives is, honestly, to me, it's everything, because everything around me can either build me or destroy me. Thinking about anything can either build me or destroy me. The perspective is the only thing that matters. If I look at things from a godly perspective, something will build me. But if I look at things from a very selfish perspective of me and me alone, it will definitely destroy me. Yeah.
Thank you, Raymond. That's very insightful. I want to pick it on from there and ask Fiona. You've had to like live some life at campus,
Yeah.
and you've seen this firsthand. What are some of those things that are stealing or destroying campusers' lives today?
Well, first of all, the first thing that comes to my mind after reading the verse is the devil. The devil is the thief that will come to steal, kill, and destroy. But as a campuser, there are so many things that come to steal our lives. And maybe I'll say the things that we idolize in our lives, the things that we put first before Christ. They say Christ gives life in abundance. So the things that we let give us life, the things that we allow to give us life, like for example, it may be alcohol, it may be drugs, it may be friends, it may be social media. Like, it's so easy for someone my age to allow something to control them and give them life and give them a meaning of life. Yeah. So I think the stealers are the things that we idolize in our lives, and also the misguided decisions that we tend to make as campusers. Obviously at campus, this is the time you're alone, no one is looking out for you, you're the one looking out for yourself. I mean, there's no mommy, there's no daddy, there's no sister, there's no chiboko, there's no, like, there's going to be no one there for you. So you're going to make your own decisions. You're going to say, you know what, Fiona, I'm not going to do this. I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
And it's up to you whether you want to include God in them or not. Now, most times we make rash decisions without even consulting our God, without consulting a higher power. And then we tend to blunder, and then that's how our life goes like that. And later on you ask, hey, so how is Fiona? I'm like, man, Fiona, yeah, she went, she like that, her life, it ended there. So I think also our misguided decisions, the ones that we make, and the things that we idolize in our lives, and the devil, I think those are the stealers of life. Those are personally my stealers of life. Not anymore though.
Thank you, Fiona. Raymond, what hope someone out there understand what the true source of life is?
It's very blunt. Jesus is a true source of life. He's the only person that can make everything just turn just by a switch. When we look at the life of the disciples that Jesus influenced, he turned their lives around from fishers of men, from fishers of fish to fishers of men. And it was just split-second decisions of saying, will you follow me? And the man listens and he follows. And thereafter, Peter's life was never the same. Peter's life changed. Everything he did there was different. The time when Paul encountered Jesus, Paul's life changed. He was a man that was established. He already had all that he needed and all that he wanted. At that time, his esteem was enough to say that he was living in abundance, but not until he met Jesus. When he met Jesus, we see the substance that came of Paul. We see what became of him after, and he also testifies that after meeting, after witnessing, after seeing what Jesus can do, this is the only person that can give me life. So in my life, even when I'm trying to decide what not to do, what to do, I'm trying to learn. Even in this season, I'm trying to learn some things. And the only reason why I'm still keeping it together is Jesus. Otherwise, if I look at myself and if I had not made that decision to see the truth that Jesus always says about me, I would be a mess. I do not have a definition of what a mess is, but I think in our lives, we all know what a mess is in our lives, what you could be doing differently right now. So Jesus gave me life, and yes, I need everything that is around me. I need the money. Later on, I will need to see a little Raymond jumping here and there. But at the end of it all, I need to see Jesus. I need to see Jesus in my life, because my life would be scattered if it was not him. So he picked up all the pieces, and here we see Raymond, but it's Jesus keeping all of this together.
Amen. That's a great testimony, Raymond. To see you here, to the viewers out there, we thank God. We thank God that you're here. And Fiona, verse 10 goes on to quantify this life that Jesus is promising us. And it says, you will have life, but you will have it even in abundance. You had this life, but now you're going to have it even more abundantly. So what's your understanding of this extra abundance that Christ is promising us when we follow him, when we give him access to our lives from
Personally, I gave my life to Christ in P5. And from then I've just been renewing my faith. And the things that happened after I gave my life to Christ were a series of, blessing after blessing after blessing. I'm not saying my life was perfect after then, but I started to notice the small blessings, the things that God does in our lives starting with the newness, I was renewed. You know, when they're doing an altar call, they say, if you want to receive Jesus in your life, start afresh, you know. Old sins are gone, you know, the new has come. Yeah, so that's exactly how I felt at that time. I remember it was Heaven's Gates and Hell's Flames. Yeah, and the newness that I felt, the fact that you know that you've been forgiven. Yeah, many campuses out there, if you tell them something like you need Jesus Christ, they'll be like, tell me what I don't know. And you'll find that in their lives, yeah, they feel caged. They feel like, I've done this thing, it's so bad, I don't think I'm worthy of, you know, such greatness as God. They know that God is there, they know, but they want something more. Yeah, but most of them are, let's say, afraid to tap into it because they feel like they are some other kind of sinner, like it's a whole different other thing. I think life in abundance brings identity. I'm not going to go and allow something to define me when I know Christ is in me, because he that is in me is greater than he that is in the world. So my identity matters a lot. Like that's something that I treasure and I keep, because when something defines you, when someone defines you, all these things, they can disappear in a second. Before you know it, nothing defines you, and you're left hopeless. And that is like a story at campus. Like something's going to define someone, maybe social media, maybe someone wants to look great, or maybe someone's, you know, education is defining them, and those are the things they're idolizing, they're putting first in their lives. But when you receive this abundant life, there is that sort of where you are reformed to be identified by Christ. And once Christ identifies you, he maneuvers this life thing for you. You let go. You let go of what you're handling, whatever you're suffering from, whatever issues you have, and you let God do the most. And you know he's a perfect God, and we are way less compared to him. So when you allow such a higher power take over for you, it brings in all the love, all the grace. And yeah, another thing is talking about the grace and the love. You start to feel the grace, God's grace in your life. Like you once almost died, you once almost went astray, but in Christ now you realize that, you know, it was his grace that brought me to him. This abundant life, yeah, it exposes the works of the devil, should I say.
Yeah.
Once you receive this abundant life, you start to see the things that the devil was killing. You start to see the things that the devil was destroying, that the devil was stealing from you. And you start to grip them with Christ, yeah? You start to get a hold of them. And many of us as campuses, we have weaknesses, yeah? I mean, everyone's going to lay down like a million weaknesses that they have. But you know, once the devil, and that's where the devil, you know, dwells, in our weaknesses. You know, I'm easily, you know, like peer pressure. So the devil is going to tap into that peer pressure and make you, you know. So I think the abundant life, once it's exposed to you, you start to notice that, oh yeah, this is where I went wrong, you know. Christ starts to show you the life that he can give you, the life that he can give you that is away from whatever could have taken your mind, whatever could have taken your life. Starts to expose the devil in the areas where you were not seeing, where you were blind, but now you see. Yeah, so I think that's what abundant life is. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Fiona. As we wrap up this discussion, I will ask each of you to just say something to the viewers and encourage them or something, give them your experience or something about life
Mm.
and how you think they can best live this life with Jesus. I'll begin with Raymond.
Um, just a second. I'm looking for a certain scripture in Exodus. In Exodus, in chapter 17. Chapter 17. From verse 2. So they quarreled with Moses and said, "Give us what to drink." And Moses replied, "Why do you quarrel with me? Why do you put the Lord to the test?" But the people were thirsty for water there, and they grumbled against Moses. They said, "Why did you bring us out of Egypt to make us and our children and our livestock die of thirst?" Then Moses cried out to the Lord and said, "What am I to do with these people? They're almost ready to stone me." And the Lord answered Moses and said, "Go out in front of the people, take with you some of the elders of Israel, and in your hand the staff with which you struck the Nile. Go, I will stand there before you by the rock of Horeb. Strike the rock, and water will come out of it for the people to drink." So Moses did this in the sight of the elders of Israel, and he called the place Massah and Meribah, because the Israelites quarreled, because they tested the Lord, saying, "Is the Lord among us or not?" When this question comes, I'm sure it has popped somewhere in the season. People asking, there is so much that is happening. When we see the news, and the news that is portrayed is not of people that are getting healed. No, the news that is portrayed is of people that are dying. And so very many times we look out, as humans, we look out for the death that is happening around us. And if you're to look at this text, there were so many good things that were happening in the lives of the Israelites. But the moment when they get thirsty, they forget that the God who got them out of Egypt will be the same God that will sustain them in the wilderness. And so they start asking themselves a question: is God among us or not? Now, I would like to encourage myself and everyone out there that is watching this, that is seeing this, that God is amongst us. He's living within us. There is nothing that is happening in the world that He doesn't know of. Even when you leave the world and you go to our families, there is nothing that is happening in our families, in our villages, that He doesn't know of. And us asking ourselves, is the Lord among us or not, we put ourselves at a difficult place, because this is a question we cannot answer. So I encourage us that we remain faithful as God is faithful to us. That in the times of lack, we remain faithful and looking towards God. In the times of gain, we remain faithful. When we are wealthy and healthy, we remain faithful. When we are unhealthy and we're poor, we remain faithful, because we know that the God that was in the abundance will be the same God that will be in this place right where we are. So, in whatever thing we do, let us not get to a place of questioning the sovereignty of God. The part that God is in everything that we are seeing. Because if you read the Bible, we see a series of terrible things happening. But amidst these terrible things, we see a God that is rising up. We see a God that is in the middle of those things and is trying to hold all of His stuff together. Also, just to wrap up, when you look at the life of Job, he had all these things around him, and Satan, in his craftiness, asked for permission from God, and God gave him permission. He said He is there, and Satan did all what he had to do, and we see Job at a certain place. He reached a certain place of doubting whether his life was worth, and he asked himself, why did they give birth to me? And I know we might think that that is a place to be at, but I encourage you to say, You might be feeling like that, but you are way better than where you're feeling right now, because God lives right in you. God lives right in you. He's influencing every decision that is happening around you. Even though you do not see, even though you do not feel it, God is influencing everything around you to work out for your good. And the only thing that you have to do is remain in faith with Him. Be faithful to God, and believe me, you will see the faithfulness of God in everything that you will do. So, everything that we're doing, I would like to encourage myself just to remain faithful to God, to see Him for who He is, and not think He's not going to be here for me, not to think He's not going to be there for anyone else, because He is a God who is faithful inside and out. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Fiona, just a word or two to our viewers out there.
I think I'll say life is not exactly what we make it. Life can instead make us. So, but when we decide to give our lives to Christ, when we decide to accept Christ in our lives, He's the one who makes things happen for us. Yes, we may not know His plans, we may not be aware, but when you're in a situation, when you're stuck in life, you hold on to what you know. I know many people, they may not know Christ, but one way or another, His love for us, be it who you've done what, you've been where, you're from where, I don't care. God's love for you is, you can't measure it. And His grace, He gives us this grace which we don't deserve, unmerited. It's really favor, so much favor. I've seen like many people who, let's say, they could have gone astray somehow, like they could have gotten sick, or I don't know, like gone astray in any way, but still God's love for them, yeah, right now they are standing strong, they are prosperous, and I just want to tell everyone there that it doesn't matter who you are. God's love for you is great, it's strong, it's powerful. And if you allow Him in your life, He's going to expose it to you. And it's going to be glory to glory, blessing to blessing. It's just going to be amazing. It's going to be a beautiful life. It's not going to be smooth, no. But like I said, when you're in a situation and you're stuck, and this life thing plays you hold on to what you know. Personally, I always hold on to Christ. Even when I see that wherever I'm going, like there's really nothing for me, I'm heading for a dead end, yeah? Christ has never failed me, and I don't think He's about to start right now. So I encourage everyone out there to hold on to Christ for the abundant life, for the favor, for the grace, for every need you want, for every need. Yeah, hold on to Christ. And I caution the Christians out there to continue to read the Word, to study, to grow, because once you stop growing, yeah, back to level 1, and you'll start finding yourself in these situations where you thought you would never be again. So I encourage all of us to like keep growing, keep moving ahead, and it's going to be okay. This life thing, it will be fine. It's just time. Give it time, give it to God. It's going to be okay. Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Our viewers out there, you may be asking yourself, how do I get access to this life? How do I have this life and have it in abundance? Read the scriptures in John chapter 10, I think verse 7. It says, very, very, I say unto you, I am the door. Christ described Himself as the door to this kind of life.
Yeah.
You know? So until you make that bold step of allowing Christ into your heart and accepting Him to be the Lord and Savior of your life, He is the author of this life that we live. Until you give Him access to that life, you will be living in life. So today, make a decision today and accept Christ as your Lord and Savior into your life. And from that onwards, you will see this life changing in your favor. You will see Christ coming in, and you will see even more meaning to your life. So we thank you for tuning in today and fellowshipping with us. And we bless the Lord and pray that you may be blessed. Continue observing food distancing. Most importantly, continue fellowshipping with one another and praying and keeping in the faith of our Lord Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
God bless you.
God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark and fleshed out the wonder